Hello there guys, and welcome back to Planet Coaster. I know it's been a bit of a while and I haven't really been playing Planet Coaster as much as I'd like to, but I think that's down to a little bit of kind of creative block. I haven't really had any ideas. I've wanted to continue with Amber Acres for quite a while, but I had a few ideas for it, but none of them really worked out and weren't really worth showing, so I've kind of reverted back to the kind of save file that I had before on that. But I will continue on that at some point once I can kind of come up with some ideas. But this little project I'm working on is called, well, I've only got really the names of the roller coasters, which is Medusa and Perceus. I've been kind of, most of my life I've been kind of interested in kind of Greek mythology and things like that. When I went to Crete once, I was kind of enamored by the whole labyrinth of the Minotaur, and we went to visit it. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Greek gods and kind of mythology is kind of really cool to me. And I was watching Clash of the Titans the other day, and so I was kind of inspired to make some kind of roller coaster based around Medusa and, well, Perseus, really, who is the son of Zeus. I was almost going to say Thor then, and I was like, no, that's not right. That's Norse. But, yeah, that is... Yeah, so I've gone through the kind of colour scheme. I wanted Perseus to kind of be a yellow colour because Zeus is thunder and shit like that. So, yeah, and Medusa is green because, you know, snake woman, that kind of shit. Yeah, I kind of like that idea of kind of following that colour scheme. So I wanted this to be dueling coasters because I've never really gone with the kind of dueling coaster scheme of things. They're kind of difficult to make, especially in Planet Coaster, because for the life of me, the best thing that I could want out of Planet Coaster at the moment is syncing stations, because at the moment it's kind of really difficult to line up the coasters correctly to follow the right path, get back to the station on the right time, and then launch again. Especially when you add kind of guests to the mix, that is when it becomes really difficult. I don't know if anybody in the comments section can let me know any better way to sync up the coasters, because at the moment I have literally no idea. So I managed to get it working like almost correctly. I think there's a very slight gap, and sometimes after running it for a while the coasters are quite behind each other, but they seem to work pretty well for now. I mean, they'll work for the POV when I eventually release that. I'm not sure if I left in any sort of slight POV moments. I think I took them all out. I want to keep the surprise for later. Anyway, you can see the kind of lift, hill and drop I've built here doesn't actually remain. In fact, half the coaster I built here does not remain. I don't know, it just didn't work exactly how I wanted to. I wanted to do a big overbank there, but it just didn't seem to work correctly, and I don't know, like, it was difficult making this coaster. Very, very difficult. Like, for one thing, I've never ridden a hybrid coaster myself, so designing a layout for a coaster that you've never ridden is kind of, it's a tricky kind of thing to do. I work better on doing things like kind of like sit-down roller coasters, like corkscrew, like kind of Vekoma roller coasters, things like that. I can do that because I've ridden those kind of roller coasters. Like flying coasters, they're kind of tricky because they're like just flying coasters. They're kind of abominable, kind of hate them, but that's a story for a different time. The only one I've ridden is Air at Alton Towers, or as it's now known is Galactica. Yeah, it's I've still not been on Galactica, but then I've been on Air, so I've basically been on Galactica, and actually here is a little bit of a POV, but not that layout stays. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of go off of Galactica for now, because that's a different story. Maybe I'll make a flying coaster another time, and I'll tell you all about why I kind of hate flying coasters. Yeah. Yeah, kind of passionate about that. Either way, this is, yeah, so hybrids to me are kind of like a new thing. Like, I think they look amazing. There are like some coasters out there that are hybrid coasters, and I think they look like phenomenal. Like the way that the support structures work, it's kind of the best of both. You've got like the steel coaster, and then you've got the woody elements, and they just fit together so perfectly in some kind of a disgusting manner. It's kind of filthy in a way when you kind of think about it. They're kind of awful, like they probably shouldn't exist, but they do, and I'm kind of glad that they are, and I really want to go on one. Not that I know which is the best one to go and visit, so if anyone knows a very good hybrid coaster that I should go and ride, let me know. I would love to do it. Yeah, awesome hybrid coasters. They're amazing. So yeah, it was kind of tricky coming up with the layout for this. I don't really know any of the unique elements that they do. I know a few of them. I mean, I know that they follow a lot of kind of traditional wooden coaster elements, so a lot of like airtime hills, like double downs, double ups, kind of things like that. And I know like their inversions are pretty kind of unique in a way, so like they have a lot of stool like 0G stools and things like that, which I wanted to kind of pop in, but I kind of found it difficult to do, especially never having ridden one. You can't really tell what the kind of flow for it should be. Now I know that a lot of these coasters are quite snappy. They're quite, I wouldn't say compact, they are kind of out and back, but this coaster doesn't really go compact. It's kind of sprawling, but I kind of like the way it does sprawl. Now I'm not completely happy with the ending of the coaster, so that is subject to change. Like I definitely wanted to follow a kind of theme with the ending of it, where it would be kind of like the last moments of a battle between Perseus and Medusa, but it needs to kind of come a bit closer, so maybe they should weave in and out of each other. You'll see what I mean when you see the finale of it. Now you can see here where I'm actually rebuilding the roller coaster. I wanted an awesome looking like high five element, but to go into kind of like a stool turn kind of thing. So it doesn't lose all of its speed, it loses a little bit. And then one of the inversions on the Medusa one, it actually does a complete like 180. Is it 180? 360. It does a 360 kind of inversion, whereas the other one doesn't completely invert, I don't believe. So yeah, Perseus doesn't completely invert, but it looks pretty cool. Like I like the way that they go close to each other and they do match each other. And I kind of realized that you can't actually do your own inversions properly on this coaster. You can't actually like do a dive loop or anything, so you have to kind of use the presets, which are a bit strange. At least I couldn't figure a way to do it. So yeah, Perseus has quite a few kind of helixy moments, whereas Medusa kind of goes in a kind of long flowing manner, which I kind of imagine that Medusa would do. Like I kind of wanted her to have some twists, but nothing like obscenely kind of ridiculous, whereas Perseus would be doing these kind of ridiculous moves because he's a demigod, so he can kind of do what the hell he wants. So yeah, trying to sync up the kind of stations, trying to look what they do, things like that, kind of, yeah, just trying to sync them up. Syncing them up was probably the hardest challenge I faced with this build. Now yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the theming I'm going to do. It's going to be very kind of typical Greek kind of, I can't think of the bloody name for it right now, but I want to do those kind of Greek temple kind of style things. Now I had to end the rides here with lift hills, which is kind of not what I wanted, but I feel like it would be fine for the kind of theme that they follow. So they will eventually have to go into a kind of lift hill to maybe, I don't know, raise back up to Olympus, or I don't know, something like that. Either way, it works and it's fine. I do some little adjustments on Perseus towards the end. I mean, maybe you could see it as Perseus is kind of going all the way out because he's still alive and Medusa is not, even though she is on the coaster. So I don't know, it works well. It's kind of, I'm happy with the layout at the moment. There are a few adjustments I'd make, just doing a bit of terraforming here. I kind of wanted it to be more of a terrain coaster, so they are diving in and out of the terrain. I want to throw in some kind of scenery of like broken columns and like this bit at the end where they be kind of going through a like kind of broken battlefield, so there'll be like pillars kind of everywhere and like scorched earth, maybe things like that. So yeah, that's the kind of gist of things I wanted to go with. I kind of like that it's a terrain coaster. It is the first thing you're going to see as you walk in, so the actual like lift hill itself is kind of part of the weenie, though the actual station buildings will be kind of like central columns to either side of it, so it's going to be interesting to see when that scenery comes about. Now, this is the only bit I've built of the ride so far. I haven't built any of the scenery yet, so I'm going to be doing that over the course of like maybe a couple of days, so maybe the next episode for this won't be out for another couple of days, but either way, there we go. That's Medusa and Perceus. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye bye!